Town meeting will come to order. Just a reminder, everybody in the back row, beyond the aisle there, is the non-voting section. If you're sitting in that section and you want to vote, your vote will not be counted. Okay. I ask everybody please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for the liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk read the charge?
Good evening. Town of Ayer Special Town Meeting Warrant. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Middlesex County. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Ayer, qualified to vote in town elections and affairs, to meet at the auditorium in the Ayer Shirley Regional High School located at 141 Washington Street, Ayer, Massachusetts, on Monday, the 22nd day of October 2018, at 7 o'clock in the evening, then and there to act on the following articles. Hereof, fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereof to the town clerk before the date appointed for said meeting, given under our hands this 2nd day of October AD 2018. Janice Lee Livingston, Chair. Christopher R. Hillman, Vice Chair. Scott A. Hood, Clerk. As directed in the foregoing warrant, I have this day posted 3 attested copies in 3 public places, one of which was the town hall, at least 14 days before said meeting, all as herein directed. Richard Scotchalis, Constable, October 3rd, 2018.
Article 1, to see if the town will amend the Ayer General Bylaws, Article 45, street opening and driveway / accessway permits by replacing the text of the article in its entirety with a new text as follows and on file in the offices of the town clerk and the Department of Public Works, and to authorize the town clerk in consultation with the town manager to assign appropriate numbering for this bylaw so that it may be in compliance with the numbering format of the town bylaws, or to take any action thereon or in relation thereto, as written in the warrant.
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Livingston.
I move that the town vote to amend the Ayer General Bylaws, Article 45, street opening and driveway accessway permits by replacing the text of the article in its entirety with the new text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Rezaje.
Mr. Moderator, just a few questions in reading through this. I can understand some of the purpose of, or the thought behind it, but not all of the purpose. One of the first questions I would have is, it talks about the selectmen will come up with a fee plan for this. Has that fee plan been established?
No.
No, so we don't know if it's going to be $1, $100, a percentage of the project. Is there an idea on how this, excuse me, how this fee structure is going to be established?
Mr. Pobriand.
Mr. Moderator, through you, I would ask the DPW superintendent to speak to that.
Mr. Wenzel.
Thank you. The way the fees will be set up will be basically looking at the cost to actually administer the fees. So we'll have different fees depending on the type of project. So for instance, if you're repaving a driveway, then it would be a minimal fee. But if you're putting in a gas main requiring inspections, then we would have a fee that's appropriate to that. Those will be based on my recommendations submitted to the board. They'll be reviewed at one of their public meetings, and then we'll approve it based on questions or comments at that point.
Just a question about that. You talk about there'd be a fee based on the type of work being done. If I'm putting a gas main in, if I'm putting, as an example, if I'm putting a gas main in, isn't that already going to be inspected by the plumbing inspector?
Not in the street. Any work in the street is inspected. Basically, we inspect the excavation, the backfill, and then the paving.
So is this when a utility makes a road cut in the town, do they have to pull a permit? Do they have to notify the Department of Public Works? Do they have to pay a fee to make a road cut?
When that, for instance, National Grid or Verizon, they do. The town water and sewer department does not do road opening permits or pay fees because they're the ones that are actually doing the inspection.
So that fee is already established in the public way, and once it reaches the private way, my property, then that would be under a fee that would be already paid to the plumbing inspector in the case of a gas cut?
Correct.
So in addition, there's going to be a fee for this?
So this is
Because you're in
only,
my driveway?
this is only a road opening or driveway permit. So if they have to go out into the public right-of-way to do the work, they need this permit. If they're doing it on your private property, then there's no permit required for a street opening permit.
Correct, but this bill addresses my driveway, as I'm reading
Right.
it. So the concern I ran with this was, when my curb cut has already been in existence for 100 years,
Yes.
and now to pave my driveway, resurface a driveway, I'm going to have to come to the town to get a permit on a curb cut that's already been there for 100 years. I can understand that if the town was to, if somebody was building new on a non-existing lot and making a curb cut, that the town may be interested, but I'm just a little concerned that I'm going to be faced with a fee to repave my driveway, that I don't know what it is, on a curb cut that's been existent for over 100 years, or give or take. And to me, there's just, I'm not quite sure the purpose behind this fee. To me, it's sort of a tax. There's just too many open ends here. You know, I repaved my driveway this year. It was very expensive because I had them come in, take up the old driveway, and I decided, because it would be settling, I'd put down a binder coat this year with the intentions of next year they'll come and finish it once it has a chance to settle. So I'm looking at an additional fee to repave my existing driveway to the town. I'm not quite sure the reason for this.
The reason in a case similar to yours would be, as you said, you're digging up your old driveway, you're repaving a new driveway, it's the same footprint, but you may make the grade different. So you may be having drainage run out into the street or onto your neighbor's yard. So that's what we look at each permit application and make sure that it's not going to have an adverse impact on the road or on the street, and also to benefit you. Sometimes there's a reason why you may have a little rise at the front of your driveway so that water doesn't run into your garage or run into your, down towards your house. And so we make sure that that gets done properly. It's not for a driveway permit fee right now, I think it's $25. It's not a significant cost.
But we don't know what the fees are going to be. The fees aren't set. This is a new bylaw. So, I mean, we're voting this in. The other one is being
Right.
put to
And
bed.
the reason why I'm recommending it this way is because this bylaw hasn't been upgraded since 1999. So anytime I want to change a fee, it has to come to town meeting if we put the fees in there. If we have a regulation and a fee structure, then the board can vote, and all the public people can come to the board meeting when it gets reviewed and approved and have comments at that point. But to have a permit that we have to come to town meeting and make any modifications, whether it's fees or, in this case, we have a lot of technical details in the bylaw that aren't pertinent anymore. So so basically, when I approve a permit, they're not following what's in the bylaw because we have different paving techniques, we have different traffic control requirements, different permitting requirements.
I still stand a little bit confused about, again, trying to understand why somebody who has an existing driveway that's being returned in the same way, and then there's listening to you say there's a process then to make an application to be able to do this process, then will this be inspected prior to, during, after? How is this process going to work? Isn't this going to put an additional burden upon the Department of Public Works? As I understand here, they're going to be the people who are going to monitor this anytime somebody wants to pave a driveway in town?
We go out before someone paves a driveway. Whenever we get a permit, we go out and inspect it before, and then if we're concerned about the actual construction, then we will inspect it during construction.
Is that actually happening now for anybody who's repaving? Are you going out?
If we know about it, there's a lot of driveways that get repaved without people taking out permits, but if we know about it, we actually go out and inspect it beforehand and make sure there's not going to be a problem.
So that takes me then to the end of this bylaw that says that any person who violates or refuses to comply, and the old saying, ignorance is no excuse in the law, it's $300 per day is the fine for this. So I don't know what the fee structure is. It doesn't sound like we have a good permitting process in place right now, and potentially, be honest with you, I don't
excuse
believe
me.
they pulled a permit from my driveway.
Well,
so I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you say we don't have a good permitting process right now, because we do, but we don't, we obviously don't know about every permit in town because people do stuff without a permit. They do building projects without permits. Right. But we have to have a permit process in place, and we do our best to make sure that it gets done properly. We had a case, and we're still dealing with it right now, where they filled out the permit. They said they were going to do it one way, and when they actually paved it, they paved more than what they said. So,
Surprise.
so now I don't have any way to fine them for doing that or to force them to redo the work. So in this case, we can deal with those types of situations.
Are the paving companies that work in our town aware of this bylaw?
Yes.
Are they following it?
As far as I know, they follow it. They call us with questions before they submit a proposal to people to pave their driveways.
Because I'm a little concerned I could have a lot of $300 fines on my yard at the moment. As I say, to me, there's too many unanswered questions here. A fee structure which I'm not aware of, so I'll turn it back over to the next person. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Ms. Bedurtha.
Mr. Moderator, I have two questions. What if someone has a lot and they have enough room to build a house? Can they put that driveway anywhere they want to on that property?
Mr. Wenzel.
Well, that's really part of the planning board, approval not required, site plan review. We do look at where the locations are. We advise the planning board. We advise the building inspector. There's issues with traffic. There's issues with sight lines, safe driveways, sizes. One of the issues with this current bylaw is that it doesn't comply with our subdivision regulations. So the bylaw says one thing on driveway dimensions and locations, and the subdivision regulation is different. So basically, the subdivision regulation takes precedence, but in this case, we refer to the subdivision regulations as opposed to having specifics in the driveway and road opening bylaw.
The other question or comment I have is this: what if you do hire someone to do your driveway and they don't do it to your specs? Are you going to make them tear it up? Or are you going to charge us $300 because it's wrong?
I think it depends on the situation. you know, the specifications are to protect you. So, because I'm sure you're not a pavement expert, and if the guy says, oh, you know, a half an inch of asphalt's fine. If the town spec says an inch and a half, then that's what he has to put in. So part of this is to protect the town and to protect the homeowners, so that you know that you have a contractor that has communicated with the town, he knows what the town requirements are, he knows what a quality project is.
But my worry is that we would be fined, and it would be no fault of ours.
I think the fine is if it's not going to be fixed. It's a means to make it fixed. Like I said, we have a case right now where their permit, I went specifically through it with a contractor and said, you're only doing paving this wide, you're not paving this area, and then I come back that afternoon and it's all paved. And the homeowner, the contractor's gone, the homeowner's saying, well, I didn't know that, I didn't see the permit.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do with them?
That's not really pertinent to this discussion at this point, because I don't have a fining method. I don't have any way to do anything other than send them a letter and saying it's not appropriate. You know, we have a number of options that we're looking at.
Well, I'm not going to vote for this because it's too much money for someone else's problem.
Evening, Frank. Missed you.
Thank you. Frank Maxon, William Street. I'm really not happy with the attitude that is evidenced by the $300 a day fine. Could you tell me why and then how that would be implemented? Would we be actually paying $300 a day, or are we getting some kind of nebulous promise here that, oh, well, we really don't mean it?
Mr. Wenzel.
Well, I'm just reading the actual language so that I can make sure that I can respond to that question properly. It says, any person who violates or refuses to comply with any provision of this bylaw or with any order or orders hereunder promulgated shall forfeit and pay to the use of the town a sum of $300 for each violation. So I think it gives us an opportunity to correct problems. I think there is a method where you can challenge a fine. We've had that done with some of our water conservation violations. And so it's, and we typically haven't been fining everybody who violates things. We notify them, but if we need to have a hammer to get things done, this is how we're going to do this.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. In the eyes of the moderator, the ayes have it, and question the count, okay? Mr. Bresnan and Mr. Goodwin. Actually, the younger Mr. Bresnahan and Sam. Sorry, Paul. If there are any voters sitting in the aisle, on the other side of the aisle, that's the non-voting section. If you're voting from that section, your vote will not be counted. So you need to move into the voting section in order to be counted. Okay. All those in favor, please stand and raise your cards. Okay, all those opposed, please stand and raise your cards. The vote is 89 to 22. The motion is passed. Article 2, amend Section 2.0 of the Ayer zoning bylaw to see if the town will vote to amend the Ayer zoning bylaw, Section 2.0 definitions, as inserting the underlined bold text as follows, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto, as written in the warrant.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Archibald. Actually, you need a motion first. Mr. Hood. Mr. Hood. I thought he was talking first.
I move that the town vote to amend Section 2.0 of the Ayer zoning bylaw by inserting the underlined bold text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
There's a second. It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Bedertha.
Good evening. No, the only question I had was, I know in the past, the planning board and that has always had these bylaws reviewed by an outside consultant, just to make sure that they're meeting the same standard as other towns in the community. Was that done as part of this process, or was it all done internally?
Mr. Moderator, to
Mr. Archibald.
Bertha's question, yes, Town Council reviewed all of the zoning bylaw amendments that are being proposed this evening.
Okay, and I know they had always hired a consultant like Judy, I can't remember her name, but, was it? Barrett.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because, there was a lot of changes they were making at the time, so that part of the process, we didn't do this time. It was just a legal overview.
Yes, the intent of these bylaw changes is to fine-tune the bylaw where we found that strict application, needed a little bit of tweaking.
Okay.
So, in fact, I have a presentation that will explain everything, if that's okay.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Pombriant.
Mr. Moderator, through you to Mr. Bedertha's question, just to further expand upon that. In the past, we used consultants. However, for the last year, we do have a professional planner that's certified, as well as the economic development director. And these amendments that are being proposed to you tonight are largely expansions upon what was passed in March. Some of the things missed by the consultant, but have been vetted internally by subject matter experts, reviewed by town council, and also vetted by the planning board.
Mr. Archibald.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. In order to go through these zoning bylaw articles as efficiently and as quickly as possible, I'll be speaking from written notes. Several of these proposed amendments are recommended by the building commissioner, who is on the front line of administering the zoning bylaw when someone applies for a building permit. It's common when working with a bylaw largely prepared by a consultant to need to make some minor changes or amendments to accommodate the unique circumstances of the town. His suggestions are meant to either streamline the process or clarify certain gray areas of the bylaw. So what you can see here in Article 2, the purpose of this article is to clarify several definitions in Section 2 of the Ayer zoning bylaw. These were recommended again by the building commissioner. The first of these, and I should note that accessory apartments is being stricken, and I have a written amendment, because Article 9 is being passed over, which would deal with accessory apartments. So that definition no longer applies tonight. The first of those that are still standing is to state that any home occupation that requires outdoor equipment to be stored outside must obtain a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, with the exception of personal vehicles, which are Class 2 up to a 1-ton pickup truck. These must also be acceptable to the building commissioner. The second of these clarifies, right there, the definition of corner lots to state that they may have either 2 or 3 adjacent sides abutting on a street. In several of the older neighborhoods in town, there are several lots that have frontage on multiple streets, and this is a minor amendment to capture that change. The third of these amendments for lot frontage states that for setback purposes, in the case of lots fronting on multiple streets, of which there are several in the denser neighborhoods of town, that the front yard corresponds to the street with the longest frontage, though vehicular access can be obtained either through the front or side lot lines. This amendment will not require anyone to change their driveway access or move their house or change their front door or anything like that. It's really just to make his work easier when he needs to determine what is the front yard, the side yard, and the rear yard. That is Article 2.
Any further discussion?
Jeff May, 72 Pleasant Street. Can you define outdoor equipment? Is that my little, push mower, or is that big power equipment? That's all. I'm just curious, what does that mean?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, to the question, it is really for large equipment. I'm not sure if the building commissioner is here this evening, but he might help to clarify the intent. It's really for large vehicles, earth-moving equipment, excavating equipment that may be part of like a landscape contractor's operation. It's not meant to be a riding lawnmower or that sort of thing. But apparently there have been cases in town where people have stored essentially earth-moving equipment in the front yard, and there's been, some complaints. So this would give the building commissioner discretion to, to enforce this section of the bylaw.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Pombriand.
Mr. Moderator, as you pointed out and as you're aware procedurally, Mr. Archambault has mentioned in his presentation that the definition accessory apartment for the purposes of tonight would be passed over. As you're aware, Mr. Moderator, we would need a motion made and seconded to strike that definition from the article.
Do I hear a motion? Oh, I couldn't hear you.
I'd like to make a motion to remove accessory apartment from the article, the definition of accessory apartment.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded to amend the article by striking out accessory apartment, a dwelling unit subordinate in size and accessory to a detached single-family dwelling, which may be located within an owner-occupied single-family dwelling or in a structure accessory thereto, such as an attached or detached garage or barn. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Yes, sir. Sir, could you please identify yourself?
Hi, Jim Naring, Highland Avenue. Could you please explain the procedure of passing over and its implications for this article and for Article 9 for the work of town meeting tonight, please?
And what do you mean by passing over?
Mr. Archambault said that Article 9 is being passed over, and then I believe Mr. Pombriand said that...
Right now, the only question on the floor is whether to amend Article 2 by striking out those sentences I just read.
Right.
That's the only thing on the floor right now.
Yep, I understand that. And in order for me to make an informed vote on that, what I guess is a friendly amendment, I would appreciate an explanation to the question I just asked. Thank you.
There is Sir, Article 9, although it may address some of the similar situation here, it is not on the floor now. Right now, it's only strictly on the motion to amend, not to pass the article, but to amend the article.
Why is accessory apartment being stricken?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Pomfrian.
Mr. Moderator, through you to Mr. Nearing's question. Accessory apartment, as the moderator stated in Article 2, is being removed because the planning board is going to revisit the whole issue of accessory apartments. That was determined at the planning board's public hearing, which occurred after the publication of the warrant. So for the purposes of Article 2, that definition in that piece of the bylaw would make sense if the issue of accessory apartments was going to be taken up later. The motion that's made and seconded is to strike that definition at this time.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? There being none, all those in favor of amending the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it, therefore the motion is amended. Now it comes on the motion as amended.
Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Maxon.
With respect to the storing of equipment related to a home occupation, I'd like to know whether, first, there's a grandfathering permitted for someone who's all been doing for a while. And the reason I'm asking that is because a friend of mine, he was a self-supporting paraplegic whose livelihood is trucking, has his own truck with his own controls that he can do without losing his feet and so on. That may be, if he's not grandfathered, that may be interpreted to say that he can't have his own equipment near his home anymore. And to me, that would be a very severe hardship against him.
Mr. Archibald.
Mr. Moderator, to the question, that is a good legal question that I believe perhaps legal counsel would best address. And we want to be fair in the application of the zoning bylaw, and certainly if there's a hardship, that's something we would consider, but we didn't consider grandfathering for a truck, so to speak. So I would.
Mr. Corbo.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Moderator. So this article is amending the definition of what a home occupation is, and it's adding an additional requirement that for equipment to be stored outdoors, a special permit must be obtained from the ZBA. Generally speaking, if a use is already legally in existence or has begun the permitting process prior to the passage of the bylaw, then that use could qualify for grandfathering. Whether or not any particular circumstance would qualify for grandfathering is a very fact-specific inquiry that we'd have to look at each particular case. But generally speaking, because this is a zoning bylaw, uses in existence prior to its passage would generally qualify for grandfathering.
Any further discussion?
Rob Weeks, Jonathan Drive. So the only question I had was a clarification where you reference any home occupation. I'm just referencing, just for clarification's sake, that is not for personal usage, simply for commercial and/or some other occupational use, but personal use, this wouldn't apply.
Mr. Archibald.
Mr. Moderator, to the question, that is correct. If somebody is just doing an office thing out of their house, that is not considered a home occupation. It's usually of a commercial nature.
Any further discussion? Oh. Ruth, you have to wait.
Mike Howell, 37 Pleasant Street. Question. Regarding the outdoor equipment, are there any restrictions in terms of minimum acreage, lot size, things of that nature to store outdoor equipment, or does it pertain, let's say, to certain zoning areas for general residence, 1A, 2A?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Archibald.
Mr. Moderator, to the question, I do not believe so. I think home occupations are allowed in all districts where residential homes are allowed. So the special permit would go in any district.
Even if the proximity to neighboring buildings may compromise gas-powered engines, things of that nature?
In such a situation, the zoning board would take in consideration the circumstances of the entire neighborhood. And, you know, a special permit is a discretionary use. The zoning board or the planning board is not obligated to grant a special permit. So if there are circumstances that, you know, do not warrant the granting of that, then in those cases, you know, it could be denied.
And currently, there's nothing in place for permitting. Currently, there's nothing in place for permitting.
Well, no, we have a permitting process for special permits in the town that is in operation now.
Mr. President, I'm going to she's gotten up 3 times so far to try to speak. Ms. Schultz.
I was wondering if farming would be exempt from this. If farming is allowed on different zoning under, so I was questioning that.
Mr. Moderator, to the question, I believe that agriculture is not only exempt in Ayer, but it's a statewide exemption for agricultural operations that meet the definition of agriculture in any district.
Mr. Bresnahan.
Through you, Mr. Moderator, can I offer a clarification?
Mr. Corbo, hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, through you. So to be clear, a home occupation is a specific recognized use under zoning where you have a person who has a residential use. They live in a particular dwelling, but they also run their business out of that dwelling. So the most common examples of a home occupation might be, you know, an accountant or an attorney, something like that. The intent of this is to anticipate that, you know, someone might be running a landscaping business out of their home. So if you're a homeowner and you have a ride-on mower and other gardening or lawn equipment or even farm equipment, this isn't going to apply to you. It's only if you're operating a business out of your home that requires the storage of this type of equipment. And as was pointed out, agricultural uses would not be subject to this particular bylaw because those are not home occupations. Those are treated separately.
Mr. Bresnahan.
I'd like to move for a vote.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been motion moved to move the vote. Is an undebatable motion. Therefore, it's put on the floor immediately. It requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. It is therefore a 2/3 vote, and then we move to the question. All those in favor of adopting the article, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is adopted. It passes by 2/3 vote.
Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Bresnahan.
Sorry, Tom. I'd like to submit a motion to move Article 11 to next on the agenda.
Okay. Is it moved and seconded to move Article 11 to next on the agenda? This is also a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of moving Article 11 to next on the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. I'm going to ask for my counters again. You're still sworn in. If anybody is sitting on the bench on the other side of the aisle, that is the non-voting section. If you're voting, your vote will not be counted if you're sitting there. You need to be down into the chairs on the main auditorium. Yeah, I know, yeah. Go ahead, Sam. Oh, all those in favor, please stand up and hold your cards up. All those opposed, please stand up and raise your cards. I'm in a bit of a quandary here. Ayer's tradition has always been to move an article 2/3 vote. Attorney Corbo just pointed out to me that it's a majority vote. The vote is 59 to 38. 56, oh, okay. Trying to read it from 5 feet away. 57 to 38. Therefore, the motion is advanced to be discussed next. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to approve the borrowing for the Ayer Shirley Regional School District for the cost of designing, constructing, and originally equipping a new athletic field complex to be located at 141 Washington Street, Ayer, including the payment of all costs incidental related thereto, provided, however, that the vote taken hereunder shall be expressly contingent upon approval by the voters of the town at an election to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5 the amounts required to pay the town's electable share of the principal and interest on such borrowing, or take any interest thereon or in relation thereto, as written in the warrant.
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Livingston.
I move that the town vote to approve the borrowing by the Ayer Shirley Regional School District for the cost of designing, constructing, and originally equipping a new athletic field complex to be located at 141 Washington Street, Ayer, and that the vote taken hereunder be expressly contingent upon approval by the voters of the town at an election to exempt from the provisions of Proposition 2.5, so-called, the amounts required to pay the town's I can't say it anymore. Thank you very much. Share of the principal and interest on such borrowing.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
I messed up.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Moderator.
Ms. Livingston.
For those of you who don't know, the Board of Selectmen convened into an open session prior to town meeting. We are in a recess until the adjournment of town meeting, at which time that we were going to be taking a vote on the election for the debt exclusion.
Mr. Maxon.
Moderator, I would ordinarily be in support of this sort of thing. However,
Well, we know how athletic you are, sir.
I believe that if we really care about our town, we will stick here in this hall and take care of the entire business of the warrant, and not just take care of one thing and then
Mr. Maxson,
bail
that
out.
is out of order. If you wish to discuss the article in question, you may do that. The actions of the voters
said what
here
I need to
are,
say.
sir? Any further discussion? Mr. Bedurtha.
Okay, I would just like, I guess, in regards to the warrant article, I would like a confirmation from the school committee that on October 10th, they amended their vote after passing the combined ballot, project ballot, to remove the requirement that the two towns both pass this warrant article, or they would not move on with the project. That was stated in their vote, which causes, for me at least, caused a conflict in what was discussed and presented at the project public hearings at previous school meetings, saying stating that very clearly, that they would not push forward if town meetings did not both approve it. And I understand by listening to the school committee minutes and being at those public hearings to why they're doing it. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody in town knew that regardless of what we vote on this, it's going forward. We can vote no, that will not stop the process at all. The only thing that's really important at this point will be the ballot vote that will be occurring at some time in December. But this, whatever we want in this article, this is really a discussion only. It has no merit because of the change.
Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Moderator, through you, not a current member of the school committee, and to address Mr. Bedurther's question, which is a great question, and things did change. The fact of the matter is, at the time when the original article was introduced, there was a misperception that we needed town meeting to allocate the funds. Because the regional school district is not a town department, that is not a legal requirement. The only requirement is the regional election, which already happened and voted in favor. And then because the school committee decided it did not want to put the burden on the towns based on solely on that vote, but put its original article together saying it would only go forward if both towns approved the 2.5 prop override in order to pay, so that neither town would get stuck holding a bag with a bill it couldn't pay. This town meeting vote, in fact, has no legal standing in the state. There's nothing in Mass General Law that applied it. But the school committee did know that they had made statements like that because they were under an incorrect perception originally. So they did want to bring an article for the townspeople at town meeting to vote on so that there wasn't nothing in its place. I hope that answers the question.
Any further discussion? Mr. Diskin.
So I've had two people mention the school committee, and I'd like to hear from the school committee rather than a representative that's interpreting what the school committee said.
Actually, I thought Pat was still on the school committee.
I know he was, but it's not on now.
Michelle Granger, I'm on the school committee. We did make a stipulation. Our intent was that we wouldn't move forward with the project unless funding passed in both Ayer and Shirley, which is why this will go to a ballot vote, or should go to a ballot vote if the Board of Selectmen calls one.
So, Mr. Diskin, 180 Washington Street, why wouldn't this article then be withdrawn?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Popriant.
Through you, Attorney Corbo to speak to that.
Mr. Kerbo.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Moderator. So, under the general laws and the regional school district agreement, the school district can borrow by an authorizing vote of the district committee and then approval at an election by the voters of both towns. It's a combined election, and it's a majority vote of that combined election. And that election has already occurred, and this borrowing has been approved by a majority of those voting at that election. However, when the school committee originally authorized this borrowing, there was a contingency that that borrowing also be approved at each town's town meeting. So although the regional school district agreement and the general laws did not require town meeting approval in addition to the ballot language, the school committee did. And both our office, school council, and bond council all interpreted that as a requirement of the vote. Subsequently, on October 10th, the school committee voted again and clarified what their original vote meant. And what they voted was that no amounts shall be borrowed or expended pursuant to this vote until each of the towns of Ayer and Shirley have voted to exclude the amounts necessary to pay their apportioned shares of the borrowing approved by this vote from the limitations on the total property taxes set forth in Chapter 59, Section 21C. The committee further agrees not to finance the athletic field complex until each member town has held a town meeting to consider the options available to it and meet the financial obligations arising from this project. So the extra condition put on here is that the school committee is not going to agree to do this borrowing unless each of the towns agrees to exclude its share of the debt as a debt exclusion under Proposition 2.5. In order to do that, you first need a town meeting vote to authorize that action, and then you need a vote on a question at an election. And so what Selectman Livingston said at the beginning was that if there is a positive vote on this, the selectmen are going to schedule a special election, and you're going to have to come back at an election to approve the debt exclusion portion of this. And so it's only if this is passed here at this town meeting, at a special election in Ayer, at a town meeting in Shirley, and at a special election in Shirley, that the borrowing can actually take place. So this is, in fact, a necessary requirement that if you're inclined to authorize this borrowing, that you vote in favor of this article tonight.
Any further discussion? Mr. Bedurtha.
I'd like to thank the attorney for explaining, because he explained very well what the modification and amendment was to the school department, or school committee's vote. And that's exactly what I understood it to be as he explained it. How that's not what the original vote that was taken prior to the combined ballot vote to go forward with the project that both towns went through. So that change was made after we approved on a ballot question to go forward with the project. And that's what everybody understood. But prior, when I voted, my understanding was, and it was explained to me very clearly in public hearings and through school committee meetings, that it was contingent on the passing of this article, essentially for a different reason. It was like, basically, if we didn't pass this, it wouldn't go forward. I guess I'd like to say that, I was impressed and appreciative of the school system, the school committee doing that, but I'm not really, I'm not really impressed or whatever that they went and changed the vote in between the ballot vote and this town meeting. Thank you.
Michelle Granger again from the school committee. Because this is a newly formed region and borrowing is different with a region than it is with municipality, we've had a lot of confusing moments through this process. Typically, with a town, there's a town meeting to authorize the funding and then a ballot to approve the funding. But with the regional school, the combined vote is the first step, and the debt exclusion vote is the second. Town meeting is not part of that process under the Mass General laws, which we found out after the fact, which is why we went and revised. Our intent all along was to allow both towns to have a say on the funding, and that was going to be through a ballot. Town meeting was put in there inadvertently. It was not what the intent of the committee was. It was just that both towns would have a say on funding. And quite honestly, we feel, or I feel myself, the ballot vote draws a lot more voters and gives a lot of people more say than a town meeting would. So that's part of the rationale of why we revised our vote. And as far as what the attorney just said, tonight's meeting is to discuss options. The vote of tonight, from my understanding, wasn't a requirement to move forward.
Ma'am?
Cheryl Simmons, Winthrop Ave. I'm also on the school committee. The way the warrant was written included language about this before we got clarification from our attorney, or the town attorney, and the bonds attorney. So it was the warrant was already written, and then we had to come together and discuss really Mass General law and what was actually required of this process, and that was to go to a ballot vote.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Bedurtha?
Once again, I mean, I understand what's going on, but I guess what I would like to bring up, and I think I've heard this discussed in selectmen meetings as well as the school committee meetings, that the town really needs to do a much better job, or our attorneys need to do a much better job of venting all of this stuff prior to having public hearings and prior to holding all these type of meetings. I've seen this happen.
Dave, you need specific, adjust the article on the warrant.
I am adjusting.
Not the procedures leading to the warrant. You need to address what's on the floor right now, just the whether or not to approve the article as written.
And I believe that's what I'm addressing, is the fact that this article is on our warrant, and what brought this warrant article onto the warrant is not what was originally explained to the public. And that what I'm also saying is that, we've got to do it better. This -C versus -N, which has changed this requirement, should have been caught long before this warrant article was even put onto this.
Ms. Simmons?
We made a mistake. Many of us did. As Ms. Granger said, we're a fairly new regional school district, and we all believed we were doing things the right way. We came together, we clarified the mistake, we, tried to get the word out as best we could, still leaving time for town meeting to have a discussion about the options and still be able to go to the people to be able to vote in a way that gets the most voices heard. On a side note, we are in a school and we expect kids to stand up and say, I made a mistake, and us to support them in that. We're asking the same thing. Thank you.
Mr. Rezaje?
Mr. Moderator, I understand there's been, like I say, mistakes made, some people have. I'm confused. They talk about, the reason I bring this here is to talk about the options. What are the options?
Actually, at this point, Mr. Rezaje, the options are say yes or no to going for override on 2.5. Mr. Fay?
Mr. Moderator, I think the gentleman got up just before I did. I'm of the same mind right now, based on the comment from the school committee, that we came here and the intent of this article, although somewhat seems to be misguided, was to form or to gather some options, and that is not germane to the article that's presented. So that forces me to vote no, because if you're looking for options, this is not the way to do it.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Moderator?
Ms. Livingston?
Hopefully, I'm not going to make the confusion worse. So, October 6th was the election on the field question. Originally, there was going to be 2 ballots. right? So that got messed up. There was one ballot question, and that was, did you approve the field? You all said yes. Yay. Okay. Just for the record, the Town of Ayer's Article 11, as you see written here, was always written this way. So our article was always going to be written as contingent upon election. The original plan, of course, was going to be the election and then town meeting. I've said it, the school committee said it. Some errors were made. Apologies have been made. So I guess I'm going to ask this. Do you want just this room to be making this decision, or do you want the town to be able to make this decision? And that's all.
Mr. Bedurtha.
I would agree with Selectman, that, I mean, the bigger, larger amount of people that are going to vote on this will be at the ballot vote. However, I would just like to say also with Mr. Fay that I heard a discussion. I have no idea if this article does not pass, if we do not pass this, which doesn't bind anybody, my understanding is to moving forward. But there is no discussion. I do not know Proposition 2.5, if this does not pass as a debt exclusion or whatever we want to call it, what are the other options? And what I heard from this before was we were going to have a discussion about the options. So we have no discussion about an option. We don't know what's going to happen unless we happen to hear other meetings that talk about the same issue to tell us if we don't pass this, what else is going to happen. There's no discussion. This is, irrelevant to anything. I think we should just go ahead and vote on it because it makes no difference whether we vote yes or no.
Mr. Curran.
Dennis Curran, Pleasant Street and Ayer. Perhaps I misheard the town council, but I thought he said that both a vote at this meeting and another vote on the ballot would be required in Ayer.
That's correct.
But some of the comments from the floor seem to indicate people feel like this is an optional or an accessory exercise.
No, a Proposition 2.5 override requires a vote at the ballot, or debt exclusion requires a vote at the ballot.
And a vote from the floor of the
Yes,
town meeting.
It's a two-step process.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Pompey.
Mr. Moderator, through you, to Mr. Curran's question and to Article 11. Article 11 is really dealing with the funding mechanism specifically for the town of Ayer as it pertains to the high school field project. As already mentioned, on October the 6th, there was an election under a Section N of the regional agreement that said that both Ayer and Shirley, the voters will vote whether to authorize the district to borrow the sum of money, which was $7.2 million, to construct the field. That election happened simultaneous in both towns on October 6th, and the way it works under the law, it's a majority of the two towns' votes, and that passed. Under normal circumstances, which we are not in, as many have spoken to, due to errors on all parts, and there's no malfeasance or secret agenda behind that. It was an error, as Ms. Simmons mentioned from the school committee, is new territory for many. Normally, then, under Section N, it would go to a ballot, a debt exclusion ballot. That's where the voters vote either yes or no to exclude Ayer's portion of the debt. And that's approximately, in Ayer's case, $4.2 million. Now, if we don't have a debt exclusion in place, under the normal circumstance, the town would receive a bill for its portion. If we don't have a debt exclusion in place, then Ayer has to pay its portion of that field from either the budget, which would require budget cuts, or through Proposition 2.5. To further complicate the matters, at a regional school committee meeting, a friendly amendment was made that passed that said that in addition to the debt exclusion question at the ballot, both towns would discuss this, this would have to pass at a town meeting, which it has in Shirley last Monday and is before you tonight. So the purpose of Article 11 is, does the town, meaning the town meeting, want to approve the debt exclusion? And as Selectman Livingston and many have mentioned, in the way the article is written, where it says contingent upon election, it is the intent of the Board of Selectmen to call that election after this town meeting. So Article 11, in conclusion, is really to meet the borrowing requirements that the school committee set through this friendly amendment. The friendly amendment said that they would not proceed with the project until the financing was in place in both towns, which would normally be the debt exclusion, and that it passes a town meeting. That "and that it passes a town meeting" is the crux of the issue.
Any further discussion? There be, oh,
And I promise this is it. You know, I promise this is it.
Mr. Bedurtha.
Okay? So maybe now I understand. So what we're talking about here is, and this is the discussion that I didn't hear, is we're talking about a debt exclusion, this exempt from Prop 2.5. If we don't do that, exempt from Proposition 2.5, as my understanding, the debt exclusion, the debt exemption is that we'll pay this loan off. When the loan is paid off, the tax stops. If we do a Prop 2.5 override without this exemption, we pass it, that money comes out of our taxes for the rest of the time that I own a home. That's the discussion part that was not clear up to this point. Am I correct that that is the difference between the debt exclusion and just a Prop 2.5 override? Is that, because it sounds like that's the part that never came out.
I'm going to have town council address that. Mr. Corbo.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, that's the difference between a debt exclusion and an override. An override is something that permanently raises the town's levy ceiling versus a debt exclusion, which is a temporary increase only for the life of this particular debt. All that's being considered here is a debt exclusion. And so this is something that would be a temporary increase in taxes until the debt is paid off. Then it comes off the books and taxes get reduced back to their normal level.
Mr. Bresnahan.
Mr. Moderator, Kevin Bresnahan, Wachusett Ave. I'm a member of the Fields Committee, so I've been working with the school committee as well. One of the other reasons when in discussing with members of the school committee, even though the project itself is going to happen by ballot, the other factor is we wanted people to be able to ask questions and have open discussion. So I think some people are getting hung up on the semantic of options. We always wanted there to be an opportunity for townspeople at town meeting to ask questions about the viability of the project, have a discussion, which is really what we did at Shirley, talk about the fact that the fields were constructed in '64, how unsafe they are for our athletes playing right now. If you have gone out and you've walked some of the fields themselves, the location of the jump pits, feet from our soccer field, the fact that we have 4 teams playing on the outfield of a baseball that was never designed to be a soccer field, that regularly floods during the year, and the soccer dimensions right now cross into the outfield of the baseball diamond, which is extremely unsafe and has led to injuries. Point of order. This is to complete the regional high school that we're talking
Mr.
about.
President, I just heard a point of order. Who said point of order? Please stand. Mr. Goodwin, state your point of order.
This is not germane to the question.
You're actually right. Mr. Bresnahan, it has to be on the debt exclusion,
Okay.
not on what the project entails.
Okay.
Just on the debt exclusion
Then I'll leave my
itself.
comment just about, we wanted an opportunity for there to be a discussion about the project. It was in good intent.
If you want to move the question, stand up, come to a microphone, and move the question. We will not take answers from somebody sitting down. You know, they are not recognized. You need to be recognized by the moderator before you make the motion.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Fay,
Jim Fay, 1 Victor Drive.
you got the head of you, Rick.
I walk slow.
Move the question.
Is there a second? So moved and seconded to move the question. It's a two-thirds required vote. I'm going to ask my counters to please come down again. You're still under oath.
You don't need to talk about the field anymore. It's passed. I'm not doing, no more. School isn't allowed to ask another question for at least 5 years.
No, but you also, so the schools put the article on the ballot. Let them fight this out. Yeah. It should be their ballot, not ours.
Folks, under abundance of caution, where Mr. President was so involved in this question, I'm asking Mr. Hurley to step in for him at this point. So all those in favor, please stand and raise your cards.
What are we raising our hands to?
To move the question.
Okay.
This is to move the question. All those opposed, please stand and raise your cards. $150 in favor, 4 against. The motion to move the question is passed. We immediately go, therefore, to the question on the ballot. All those in favor, please, in favor of Article 11, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, therefore it is carried. It is a majority vote.
I think we left off at Article 3. Is our next one?
Article 3. Amend I love it when school committee here, after they do their vote, everybody leaves. Right now, there's nothing on the board, on the floor. That's why I could say that. Article 3, amend Section 3.5.1 of the Air Zoning Bylaw. To see if the town will vote to amend the Air Zoning Bylaw 3.5.1, site plan review applicability by deleting the strike-through bold text and inserting the underlined text as written in the warrant, or taking any action thereon or in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Hood.
I move that the town vote to amend the air zoning bylaw, section 3.5.1, site plan review applicability by deleting the strike-through bold text and inserting the underlined bold text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is passed. It was a unanimous vote, therefore it is passed. Article 4, amend Section 3.5 of the Ayer zoning bylaw, calculating the number of units in residential developments approved through the site plan review, to see if the town will vote to amend the Ayer zoning bylaw 3.5 site plan review by inserting the underlined bold text as a new Section 3.5.8 as written in the warrant, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Livingston.
I move that the town vote to amend the Ayer zoning bylaw, Section 3.5, site plan review, by inserting the underlined bold text as a new Section 3.5.8 as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, therefore it is a two-thirds vote and is passed.
Moderator?
Mr. Maxon, what's your point of order?
What is the current quorum for town meeting?
50 votes, 50 votes, sir, and we're well above that. Article 5, amend Section 6.3 of the Ayer zoning bylaw, additional requirements for certain types of development, to see if the town will vote to amend the Ayer zoning bylaw, Section 6.3, additional requirements, by deleting the strike-through bold text and inserting the underlined text as written in the warrant, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto. Mr. Hood.
I move that the town vote to amend the Ayer zoning bylaw, Section 6.3, additional requirements by deleting strike-through bold text and inserting the underlined bold text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Archibald?
Mr. Moderator, there were some minor changes to Article 5 at the Planning Board public hearing, which I have in writing here. The amendments to this article do not change the meaning. It's really just to make sure that the proper clause for unless approved by the building and fire departments applies to several of these criteria and not just as written in Article 5, which I can explain in more detail if you wish.
Actually, you need to have a motion on the floor by a voter.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion to amend Section 6.3G, Paragraph 2, and remove the final sentence, which reads, unless approved by the Building and Fire Department.
Mr. Diskin, I have two amendments up here.
I know, that's one.
Oh, just one, okay?
That's the first one. Don't we have to do one by one?
Yeah, but usually you do the first one first. Section C, and then go to Section G.
Okay. No, that's the one I have.
Okay. His motion to strike the last section of the article of Section 6.3G, which says, unless approved by the building and fire departments. He's moving to strike that vote. Any second? Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Diskin.
So the second paragraph, which talks about detached accessory structures and so forth, that last sentence was a misprint and didn't belong there in that particular application. The wording that you see later on in Section 4, which has the same language, is the wording that was supposed to be there. And it was incorrectly typed in two places on the warrant. So I'd like to remove it from the second paragraph. And that's the purpose of that. It was just a typo. Shouldn't have been there in the first place. This was also discussed at the planning board. I'm a member of the planning board, and our meeting of October 11th is when we discussed these articles. And these final tune-ups to what we're looking at tonight were discussed and approved at the October 11th meeting and voted by the planning board.
Any further discussion?
It's just that very last sentence was a misprint. Right? The paragraph that starts with the detached accessory structure, which is paragraph 2, and continues on to no accessory structure shall be closer to the front lot line, and so forth and so on. Then a comma was added in the final language unless approved by the building and fire department. That was not intended to be on that paragraph.
Any further discussion? There being none, oh, Mr. Curran.
We're voting on an amendment to the original.
This line right here, underlined, they're striking it.
The last, right.
Yes.
Mr. Moderator, if I may ask Cindy to bring the PowerPoint slide up, because that will have the text as amended by the Planning Board public hearing for Article 5. Yep, back. Oh, I'll go back. Right there. So what Mr. Diskin was referring to at the end of the previous line is just that was just moved to amend the second paragraph in G. That was a standalone section. That first, accessory structure shall be no closer than 5 feet to any side or rear lot line. Whoops, I meant to use the this.
No, that's not what I moved.
Well, my understanding, based on discussions with the planning board and the building inspector, is that this was a standalone sentence at the very end of that section, is now just being moved here to 2, so that this qualifying statement, unless approved by the building and fire departments, applies to this statement about the setbacks for accessory structures, as well as the other criteria for setbacks. And the purpose of this is to give the building inspector and the fire department a little more discretion applying setbacks for accessory structures, because they found that strict application of these as originally written in the bylaw led to some problems. So this will give the building commissioner a little bit more flexibility with the fire department in ensuring safety for the location of these accessory structures.
Any further discussion? Sir?
Jason Solder from Winthrop Ave. So the PowerPoint that was just put up, Section 3G, Paragraph 2, is nothing like Paragraph 2 of Section 3G in the warrant. So I don't know what's going on, but there's obviously been a mistake made here, even in the PowerPoint and the warrant and what's up there.
Mr. Moderator, to the question, we recognize that the warrant and the final language that came out of the planning board public hearing does differ a little bit, and I can explain all the exact moves if we can find the right slide. Cindy, if you could bring up the warrant itself. Okay. The planning board removed this definition of decks that had decks is only requiring half the setback as a normal accessory structure, because they felt that decks should have the same setbacks as all accessory structures. This sentence right here,
The motion right now is only to remove that final underlined section, nothing else. Okay? This is the motion to remove that section, nothing else in the article. You know, the article and the warrant is what is the actual article. And in that same line is shown in the warrant. So the motion right now is only to remove that last section where it says, unless approved by the building and fire departments. Nothing else. We're not talking about how it got here. We're not talking about what changes the planning board made after the warrant was approved. Only removing that line. The motion I was given shows Section 2, unless approved by the building and fire departments. That's what they just gave me.
Mr. Moderator.
6.3.g, the minimum yard is your first section. A detached accessory is your second section. So this sentence, right? That's your second section. This is your third. This is your fourth section.
Mr. Fay. There's motion to move the question. Is there a second? I have a motion to move the question. It is an undebatable motion. It is therefore put to... State your point of order, Mr. Reserjay.
I got to change it. Moving the amendment, and if we're moving the amendment, what part are we moving on?
I will explain that. Yes, we're moving on the amendment. And like I said, this is undebatable motion. It'll be put to vote immediately. The motion is only to amend the article by removing that one line that Ms. Livingston pointed out. All those in favor of moving the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
No.
It's a two-thirds vote to move the motion.
Majority.
We're moving the question. Shut off the debate. Two-thirds. It's a two-thirds vote. I did not hear two-thirds vote in favor of it. Therefore, the debate will continue.
Yeah, that's what we came up, yeah, I was going to say that, but I couldn't with the format. He was confused as to what we did.
Let me, well, that's my point of order, is that it be clear. Mr. Moderator.
Well, there was a complex change with the planner.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
Rick Oddie, Oak Ridge Drive. I think that the body is confused, and I think that's going to be explained at this point, and I hope the moderator will honor that confusion, because we have someone making a motion and someone explaining a different motion, so we don't know which unless is coming out. It's not that big a deal, but it creates to a distrust of the process. Thank
I
you.
agree with you, and I'm confused myself.
Okay.
Mr. Diskin.
This is not going to be the first mistake, I guess, of the evening, sorry. So I am going to ask that the town meeting vote against my motion to remove the line and vote against the amendment. Then I'll go back.
Sir, do you wish to
Correct
withdraw your motion?
I withdraw the motion. If that's a procedure, I'll withdraw the motion. Does that need a second?
No.
Okay.
You can just sit down.
I can sit happily. Someone has to make the motion.
Sorry. Any discussion on the amendment as written in the warrant? Sir.
Jim Naring, Highland Avenue. Are we voting to amend the language that is in this warrant?
No.
Or the language that was briefly flashed on the screen, which is substantially different from what is in the warrant?
Sir, he withdrew his motion to amend the warrant. So we're voting on the article as it is written in the warrant.
Okay, so then my question is, are we voting on what's written in the warrant, or what was briefly flashed on the screen a few minutes ago, which is substantially different from what is within the warrant?
Let me repeat. As it is written in the warrant.
Mr. Moderator.
That's what we're voting on. Mr. Diskin.
Okay. I appreciate the town meeting bearing with us here for a second. So Article 5, the intent of Article 5 was to create, our intent as a planning board was to create some amendments to Article 5 on the floor of the town meeting. That's what we'd like to do. So if we could put up the slide that shows Article 5 with the blueprint that was shown momentarily, then we can go through our proposed changes and amendments to Article 5 in the order that we'd like to do them. Thank you. So the intent of Article 5 is to amend additional requirements for certain types of development. And in this particular case, we have added the blueprint and under section 6.3C corner lots. So we would like to amend the warrant Article 5 to add under Section 2 the language by adding the word "and" after side and rear lot lines, by adding the word "and" after 10 feet and prior to a detached accessory structure. And that is the change in the proposed article from what is written in the warrant.
And
In addition, that's it, right?
and the line for, the separate line
And-
for decks is,
But it's not shown in there.
well, I know.
Oh, yeah,
but you
excuse
took
me.
it out.
That's the First Amendment.
Mr. Moderator?
Hold on, sir. I'm going to settle this right now. After speaking with the town council,
Can't do it.
this article, the amendments to the article, are not in line with the warrant article, and they are not in line with the existing town bylaw. Therefore, the motion is out of order.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll now go to the article as written in the warrant. I have a motion to table the question. Is there a second? A motion to table is also an undebatable motion. It's a majority vote. Therefore, all those in favor, please make a motion to table. What's the point of order? It means it's done. Puts it on the table, it doesn't come back. Unless somebody else makes. Sir, it's an undebatable motion.
I'm the one who tabled the question.
Okay?
This thing is a disaster. The best thing to do is table the question, which means we do not vote on it here, and they bring it back at the next town meeting. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Okay?
But it's a mess.
Yeah, but.
We can't vote
okay.
on it.
No debate. All those in favor of tabling the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It is a majority vote, simple majority vote, and it is passed. The motion is tabled. Article 6, amend Section 10.1.3 of the Ayer zoning bylaws, open space in open space residential developments, to see if the town will vote to amend Section 10.1.3C of the Ayer zoning bylaw, development impact statement and conservation analysis, as inserting the underlined bold text as written in the warrant, take any action thereon or in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Hood.
I move that the town vote to amend Section 10.1.3C of the Ayer zoning bylaw, development statement and conservation analysis by inserting the underlined bold text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Bresnahan.
Hi, Mr. Moderator. Kevin Bresnahan, Wachusett Ave. Just wondering, could someone explain this to me as I'm reading it? It appears that it's saying half. For instance, if I have an acre of land with public sewer going through it, 50% of it has to be preserved in open space.
Cindy, could you get the PowerPoint up, please?
Mr. Archibald. So you get recognition first, sir.
Yes, thank you. Okay, open space residential development is a type of subdivision. It's in our bylaw now. What we are doing is amending it so that we take into account the amount of wetlands and steep slopes that can count towards the 50% of the entire tract that needs to be open space. And that exists in the bylaw now. And I can give you a very simple description on the next slide, right here. Basically, you have, say this rectangle is a large parcel being subdivided, and it's 40 acres. Half of that 40 acres, or 20 acres, needs to be open space. So everything left of this vertical line is open space. What this amendment would do is make the amount of wetlands and steep slopes in this type of subdivision that can count towards this open space be proportional directly to the amount of such wetlands in the entire parcel. So in this example, 1/4 of this entire 40 acres is wetlands. 1/4 of 40 is 10 acres. So 25% of the required open space, which is 5 acres, can be located within that open space. The reason you do this is because without such a provision, and many old bylaws did not have this requirement, you end up getting open space that is all wetlands. And it's, you can't develop it anyhow. So the purpose of an open space development is to obtain usable dry land that can be used for wildlife habitat, recreation, trails, and that sort of thing. So this is a type of provision that is very common in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts Smart Growth Toolkit, which I use as a reference, recommends that this be the method of restricting the amount of wetlands and steep slopes within this type of subdivision. This only applies to large subdivisions. If you were doing one house lot or an A&R lot, it does not apply. In most cases, these will be subdivisions with new roads with substantial acreage. So it's really just, this was something that unfortunately the consultant who wrote the entire bylaw missed, and I talked with her afterwards and gave her a little tisk. She said, well, how did I miss that? Well, this will fix that so that we get quality, usable open space in the subdivisions. That is the purpose of the amendment.
Any further discussion? Mr. Bedurtha.
So my understanding is this is a particular type of development, the open space residential development. That's what we're talking. We're not talking about all development in town or project. It's only if the developer wants to go with an open space residential development, then this kicks in.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Archibald.
To the comment, correct. This
Okay.
would apply to residential subdivisions and not to commercial or retail. This is for
Or some other type of development where they just want to develop more than 50%, they would not go under this particular type of development.
Right.
Okay.
In the current bylaw, this is considered the by right type of use. If they believe that their land is not suitable for this, they can get a special permit to do a grid subdivision, though we are trying to encourage this for conservation purposes.
Any further discussion? Mr. Naring.
I'm in favor of this article, but I have to ask, since in the previous article, the zoning bylaw had two competing versions that were different, can town meeting be assured that the language in the warrant for this one does not have a different version somewhere else?
Sir, I can address that. The language in the warrant is the language that you approve, nothing else. Okay,
thank you.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. It's unanimous vote, therefore it is a 2/3 vote, and it is passed. Article 7, amend section 7.2 of the air zoning bylaw, dwellings, to see if the town will vote to amend the air zoning bylaw, section 7.2, non-conforming single-family and two-family dwellings by deleting strike-through the strike-through text and inserting the underlined text as follows, as written in the warrant, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto. Sir?
Jeffrey Tillotson, Oak Ridge Drive. Planning Board has requested we pass this on this article. I'm also the acting chair of the Planning Board. Article 7 and 9, we asked to pass on, sir. Thank you.
Any motion?
I was going to make a motion. Mr. Meyer.
You don't have to.
Huh?
You don't have to.
I don't? Because that was going to be the motion. This has been the most confusing night ever. This has only got water in it. I'm not happy.
There's two of us. I know.
See how I said,
Yeah, you make the motion.
oh, I can't make the motion.
Greg said you have to do it.
Right, okay. Mr. Moderator,
Ms. Livingston.
I move that the town refer Article 7 to the Planning Board for further review per recommendation of the Planning Board.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion as read is passed. Article 8, amend Section 9.1.5 of the Air Zoning Bylaw Amendment, off-street parking standards, to see if the town will vote to amend the Air Zoning Bylaw, Section 9.1.5, off-street parking design standards by inserting the underlined bold text as written in the warrant or take any action thereon or in relation thereto. Mr. Hood.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the air zoning bylaw, section 9.1.5, off-street parking design standards by inserting the underlined bold text as printed in the warrant and read by the moderator.
Is there a second? It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous, therefore it is a two-thirds, and it is passed. Article 9. To see if the town will vote to amend the air zoning bylaw, section 5.3.2, residential accessory uses by inserting the underlined text as a new subsection C and renumber the remaining of the existing section as written in the warrant or take any action thereon or in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator.
Ms. Livingston.
I move that the town refer Article 9 to the Planning Board for further review as recommended by the Planning Board.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I just have to ask, why aren't we voting for this? Planning Board?
Mr. Moderator?
Ms. Livingston.
Because the Planning Board specifically notified the Board of Selectmen at our last meeting that they wanted to re-review this article before bringing it to the town because they didn't think it was right. That's why. So we were notified at the open meeting of the last meeting, and now we're notifying you. So you'd have to see the Planning Board's reasons, but basically they weren't happy with how this article was written, and I guess they want to tighten it up.
Okay.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous, therefore it is two-thirds and is passed. The final article. To accept a gift of land on Hemlock Drive, or take any action thereon or in relation thereto as written in the warrant. Mr. Hood.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to acquire by gift for general municipal purposes and to accept a deed of a fee interest in the parcel of land located on Hemlock Drive.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Bedertha.
Is somebody willing to get up and explain or show what's changing here? Because I know there was a discussion about this and more property than that the town was using in the water tower. And if somebody could give is there a picture available to show us what is changing or what land we're accepting? I'm sorry.
Mr. Pombriand.
Mr. Moderator, through you to Mr. Bedertha's question, I believe I have an image here on the map. What Article 10 is asking town meeting to authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept the parcel that is highlighted in the blue off of Hemlock Drive as a gift. Originally, the planning board several years ago voted on this subdivision, and when this subdivision was created, this parcel in the blue lost all footage, as you can see, where the cul-de-sac is. So what Article 10 was seeking authorization from town meeting to allow the Board of Selectmen to accept this blue parcel as a gift of land back from Ridgeview Estates to the town of Ayer. And the fundamental change is it allows for there to be access to this parcel. That access had gotten cut off by a previous actions through a subdivision vote of a previous planning board. So it's to correct that parcel and to give the town, if you will, access to that parcel. Otherwise, it would be a landlocked piece.
Okay, so I think I understand that. I guess I'd like somebody to explain why the town, well, a couple questions. Is if this is a landlocked parcel, as you described, and this becomes essentially public property, is there walking access to this parcel? I mean, I'd like to understand what the benefit is to the town of Ayer to take this parcel beyond the tax relief to the developer of not having to pay taxes on this parcel, or the homeowners association in the future having to pay taxes for this parcel, which seems not to be associated or adjacent to a conservation property or any other town property. I mean, what benefit do we get from taking this parcel?
Mr. Moderator, through you to Mr. Bedertha's question, I think the first benefit is it is an open space parcel for the town, and as you're aware, Mr. Bedertha, open space in 9.5 square miles is a premium. Secondly, without an affirmative vote by the town meeting to accept this as a gift, the current structure of the lot, it does have no access. So to your other question, as you can see in the blue, there would be access from the cul-de-sac on Hemlock Drive, as you can see below. So it does create access. It is an open space, natural parcel, if you will, and it would be up to the town, whether it's conservation, planning board, a future discussion in terms of the potential use of the parcel.
Okay, so this is being accepted by the town. It's not, however, is being accepted by at this point, the Conservation Commission, which would put other restrictions on what could happen on this parcel. This is just being accepted by the town.
Yes, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Pombriand.
Yeah, to Mr. Bedertha's question, for the purposes of this debate, it is just an open space parcel. There is no conservation restrictions and so forth. It is an open, undeveloped tract of land. We're looking to correct the access problem that the Subdivision Act of several years ago created, where there being no access. This does allow there to be public access if the town should choose, and it is approximately 36,000 square feet of undeveloped open space.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Mrs. Bedertha.
Is this tract of land, are you going to put a road on it?
Mr. Pombriand.
Mr. Moderator, through you to Mrs. Bedertha, At this point, there's no plan to put a road. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, that little piece of the blue, that's Hemlock, the end of Hemlock Drive. So there is access, if you will, to the parcel, but there is no plan for a road at this time.
Well, it doesn't appear to be very much land, so I think the owner of the land can keep it.
Mr. Curran.
Just what may be a small point, I think, Bob, you mentioned that it's about 36,000 square feet, thereabouts.
Mr. Pombriand.
Mr. Moderator, through you, my apologies. It's 24,000 square feet. I was looking at the
Sure,
map
all right,
and
that's what
modified.
I mean, the article in the warrant.
Yes,
that
24
that we've become very fond of this evening.
Yes.
Says 24,000, yeah.
Yes, 24,000.
Any further discussion? There being none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. It is a majority, therefore it is passed. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Is it moved and seconded to adjourn? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Town meeting is adjourned.
Session.
Do you need to stand for this?
No, I can, you don't have to stand.